Okay, let's jump right into this stack of sources you've shared with us. We've got excerpts from the novel The Life You've Imagined by Kristina Riggle and some notes from the author, too.
Hmm.
It feels like we're about to spend a summer kind of diving deep into the tangled lives of these characters in a small town, all based on this material.
That's right. And at the heart of these sources, really, is a place, the Nenant's store.
Right.
It's this long-standing family business in a town called Haven, and it serves as a kind of anchor, for all the different character threads we see. The story sort of branches out from there.
And the material introduces us pretty quickly to the key players. There's Maeve, who runs the Nenants, her daughter Anna,
Yep.
her sister-in-law Sally,
Hmm.
and then others like Cami, Amy, and the Beckers, right? Paul and Beck.
Exactly. And what's great about diving into these specific sources is how they immediately just, well, lay bare the core conflicts. The
Yeah.
store's in trouble, like real financial trouble, and there's this external threat looming. A figure from like way back in the past reappears totally unexpectedly.
Hmm.
And all these characters, I mean, they're grappling with their own personal crises, big ones,
Right.
forcing them to look at the gap between the life they thought they'd have and, well, the life they're actually living.
Yeah, that disconnect. And what's fascinating, and you really get this from seeing events through the different perspectives in the novel excerpts, is how the same situation looks completely different depending on whose eyes you're seeing it through.
Totally.
Like Maeve's view of the store's future versus, say, Paul Becker's view.
Right.
So our mission here is to connect those dots, pull out the surprising details from the material you've shared, and really try to understand what's bubbling beneath the surface for these people.
Okay, let's start with that anchor then, the Nenant store. Because right away, the sources make it clear this place is under, well, significant threat.
You get such a strong feeling for its personality through Maeve's eyes, don't you?
Mm.
She compares it to these, like, sterile chain stores.
Mhm.
At the Nenans, it's all about the atmosphere, the rattly fan, the constant chatter, the neighborhood gossip passed over the top of the counter.
Yeah, totally different from the canned music and industrial strength central air she mentions for Walgreens.
It's like a different world.
It really is. And it's a world that's struggling to survive. The material paints a pretty stark picture of Maeve's financial reality.
Like how?
Well, she can't afford her blood pressure meds. She's actively avoiding people she owes money to, like Chuck Clausen at the pharmacy.
Wow, okay.
So this isn't just about, keeping a business afloat. It's tied directly to her own well-being, her survival almost.
So the stakes are incredibly high for her personally, and the direct external threat comes from Paul Becker, right? His redevelopment plan.
That's the one. The material specifically mentions the letter he sent about the property. It signals the store is smack bang in his path.
Okay, but it's not just him being the bad guy necessarily. We get his side too.
Yeah, and that's what's interesting. We get glimpses into Paul's world, even a bit from his fiancée Amy's perspective. He's under huge financial stress at Becker Development. He talks about needing this project to, quote, save our bacon.
Ah.
The housing market's tough. Apparently, project phases have been canceled. He needs these kinds of opportunities like urban redevelopment, maybe for grants, partly just to keep things going.
And there's family stuff too.
Seems like it. There's pressure. He feels he needs to pull my weight at Becker Dev. And he mentions he's not the namesake.
Implying.
Well, maybe suggesting a drive to prove himself. Perhaps stepping out from his older brother Beck's shadow. That's the read you get.
Ah, okay. So it's layered. Not just simple corporate greed versus the little guy. It's business need, personal ambition, family dynamics, all crashing into this symbol of the past.
Absolutely. And speaking of things from the past crashing into the present, a huge one resurfaces for Maeve.
Don't tell me.
Yeah.
Robert.
Robert, her husband, the one who left 20 years ago. The sources show her getting letters from him, and her reaction is, well, it's incredibly complex.
You feel the weight of those 2 decades instantly, don't you?
Yeah.
The details the sources give really drive it home, like her remembering looking for him at Anna's graduation.
Yeah.
Watching for cards on Anna's birthdays every single year. Staring out the front door of the store on their anniversary.
Those small, repeated actions, they just speak volumes about the sheer weight of hope and waiting she carried.
It's heartbreaking.
And the material hints their history was complicated right from the start. She remembers meeting him when she was young, his proposal. It felt less like a question, more like inevitable after this specific incident.
What incident?
The source mentions a memory she has, him touching her breast, her feeling exposed, and then him immediately saying, marry me. And her internal thought was she felt she had no choice in the matter because she was a good girl.
Wow. That suggests a dynamic that was maybe not ideal, long before he even disappeared.
Exactly. So the foundation maybe wasn't solid to begin with. And now, after all this time, all this silence, these letters arrive. And they're full of promises.
Like what?
He talks about building her that house he always promised. Up north in Michigan, there's that line, "Get this, sweetness. At last I'm going to build you that house."
Oof. That carries so much weight after 20 years.
It really does. And for Maeve, it sparks this powerful, almost desperate hope. You can feel it.
Not just for them, but for Anna, too.
Yeah, for Robert to finally be a father to Anna, to attend her wedding someday, maybe even give her away, dance with her. It's like all those lost years suddenly feel potentially recoverable.
But she knows it's not that simple.
Right. Even in the middle of that hope, the sources show her acknowledging the difficulty. She thinks it was never easy for us. Why should it be any different now? That little bit of realism is crucial. She knows, even as she's hoping, it's probably not going to be easy.
That potential for disappointment hangs heavy there.
Yeah.
Which brings us, I guess, to Anna, Maeve's daughter. Her Chicago life slams right into this Haven reality in some really complicated ways. The material introduces her as the lawyer, right, with the lawyer voice, dressing sharply, projecting success.
She definitely projects that image, but the sources quickly reveal that the life imagined as this successful Chicago attorney, well, it isn't quite as solid as it looks.
How so?
She needs an extended leave from work. It's clearly hard for her to be away. Her colleagues are worried about her. There's pressure to snap back, be her old self.
Right.
She even finds herself minimizing her work, saying she's not trying to get anyone off death row or anything, just to kind of justify needing this time off.
And that author's note you included connects Anna directly to that feeling of disillusionment, doesn't it?
Yeah, that realization that doing your best, working your hardest, wouldn't guarantee success. That feeling that maybe all the effort didn't actually build what you thought it would. That's a core insight into Anna's struggle we get from the sources.
And her relationship with Maeve?
Yeah.
That sounds complex, too.
Oh, hugely. It's a major source of both conflict and connection. Maeve sees Anna as too confident, maybe smarter than I am. Perhaps feels a bit overshadowed.
Or intimidated?
Could be. Meanwhile, Anna is genuinely worried about Maeve, especially after hearing her friend died, asking, "Are you feeling okay?" But Maeve just pushes her away, tells her, "Don't talk to me like I'm a child."
Ouch. There's obviously deep hurt there. That moment where Anna throws the abandoned child phrase at Maeve, that's pretty brutal.
It is, and that specific detail tells you just how raw that wound still is for Anna. 20 years later, it's maybe not just about Robert leaving, but also the pain of seeing her mother wait for him, maybe feeling overlooked or second fiddle to this ghost.
So Anna wants to help, like financially.
She tries, offers her savings as a loan for rent, but Maeve refuses. It continues that dynamic where Maeve feels she has to manage alone, and Anna feels shut out.
But there are moments of connection.
Yes. The sources show that moment where Maeve collapses and Anna is right there physically helping her. It's a flash of vulnerability, connection beneath all that tension.
That collapse.
Yeah.
It feels like a physical sign of all the strain Maeve's under.
It really does. And despite her own turmoil, Anna uses those skills from her imagined life in Chicago to help.
How?
She steps into her lawyer role to challenge Paul Becker's project at the city council meeting. The description's great. Her presentation is so effective it makes the councilman frown, and Paul starts scribbling angry notes.
So she's still got it.
She's definitely capable. But coming back to Haven and using her skills here also forces her to confront her own feelings about her career.
Right.
She starts questioning if she even wants that attorney life anymore, thinking, "It's everything I ever wanted and you don't want it now." She feels this crushing weight just thinking about going back to work.
That quote you pulled, "If something feels hollow, I shouldn't keep doing it, just because I always have," that's such a powerful insight into where she is mentally.
Exactly. She got the imagined life, but it feels empty.
And that theme, the gap between the life you imagine and the one you're living, or maybe even the one you want, that seems to run through other character stories too, like Becker and Cami.
Absolutely. Let's connect those threads from the material.
Okay, so we meet Becker, Paul's older brother, Anne's old friend. They meet at that Becker party. The description of his face brightening, greeting her with a hug. There's an immediate sense of warmth there, right? History, a potential escape from all the tension.
Their dynamic feels natural, relaxed, like slipping back into an old, comfortable friendship. They talk openly, but complications arise fast. just like everywhere else in Haven, it seems.
Like what?
Well, his wife, Samantha, glares at Anna. We find out they're separating, and then there's their daughter, Maddie. Anna clearly cares about her.
And that incident at the party? Maddie nearly drowning.
Yeah, a pivotal, terrifying moment. Beck feels immense guilt over it, calls it the worst thing I've ever done, though Anna insists it wasn't just you.
That shared trauma. It seems to push Anna and Beck together afterwards.
It does. Anna stays overnight, they talk, Beck confirms the separation from Samantha is serious, and the material shows them having a physical encounter.
Oh.
Yeah. But Anna immediately tries to dismiss it, says it didn't mean a thing, just an old habit in a moment of stress.
And she insists she doesn't love him.
Flat out, not even close. It feels like she's trying hard to control a situation that's getting messy, maybe like her feelings about her career. Is she trying to convince him or herself? That's the question the sources leave you with.
Interesting. Okay, meanwhile, Anna's friend Cami is also back.
Yeah.
Back in Haven for the summer, working at the Nenans again.
Yep. And she's described quite vividly a modern version of Audrey Hepburn, taller than I remember. Visually striking.
But her home life sounds awful.
Incredibly difficult. Dangerous, even. The sources are blunt about her abusive father, Tim. The detail about him giving her a black eye, calling him a hideous louse, it's stark.
And he kicks her out.
Kicks her out, clears out her room entirely, basically makes her homeless. Just awful stuff.
But then she finds something unexpected.
Amidst all that trauma, yeah, a huge discovery. A trust fund left by her deceased mother worth $100,000, and she had absolutely no idea it existed.
Wow. Talk about a game changer.
Totally. And this is where Anna's legal skills come in again, but differently than with Paul Becker.
How so?
Anna steps in to help Cami get access to the money, tells her, "This one's on me." She even seems to find a weird satisfaction in the fight, saying, "This'll be fun, in fact."
And Cami realizes she couldn't have afforded Anna back in her fancy Chicago firm days.
Exactly. The sources highlight that. It's such a sharp detail, isn't it? Shows the contrast between Anna's high-powered career and the real personal help she can offer someone she cares about now, and how inaccessible that help usually is.
It really shows how these different character struggles get tangled up, leading to unexpected support, but also new complications, which seems true for Amy as well.
Definitely. Amy, engaged to Paul Becker. The sources give us a good window into her world, her perspective, especially regarding the wealthy Becker household she's marrying into.
How she feels like an outsider.
Yeah, telling herself to stop gawking at it like some kind of hick when she first sees their place. Her background is clearly very different.
And she has big dreams for this new life, right? The life imagined.
Oh, yeah. Wants the dream wedding, actively planning for a baby, tracking ovulation, eyeing jogging strollers. These are powerful visions she holds on to.
But reality hits hard here, too. Paul's financial problems.
Head-first collision. He talks about it being a tough time to be in property, canceled project phases. It directly impacts their wedding plans. The sources show them arguing about scaling back.
Does Amy push back?
Actually, what's striking is her willingness to compromise. She says it doesn't have to be so fancy, stresses, "I want to marry you."
But Paul
insists she deserves the best of everything, which you could read that as him trying to maintain appearances, maybe. For his family, for himself.
That tension around appearances and background seems key for Amy. The sources talk about her feelings about where she comes from and how Paul sees it.
Right. He apparently once told her he was proud she rose above her circumstances, which sounds nice on the surface.
But
Later, she hears his tone when he talks about her family's liquor store and beer signs. It sounds snobby to her. And she starts questioning that earlier comment. That internal thought sounds the same to me when she hears his condescending tone. That's a key insight. It reveals her fear that maybe he doesn't truly respect her background, that his praise might have been, well, condescending all along.
It shows the cracks appearing in her life imagined with Paul. And the pressure seems to build right up to the wedding day.
Totally. The sources describe her anxiety, a freak out at the rehearsal, using Anna as a substitute bridesmaid. That conversation with Maddie about feeling grumpy even on supposedly happy days.
And her boss gives her some advice.
Yeah, Kelly. Tells her, keeping a problem secret doesn't make it disappear. Which suggests Amy's bottling up a lot of this stress, these doubts.
Yet, at the reception.
Despite all that, the sources describe her appearing joyful, at peace. It leaves you wondering, doesn't it? How much is real happiness and how much is maybe performing the dream wedding she planned for so long?
It's one of those moments the sources give you that just raises more questions. And speaking of messy realities hitting hard, family crises keep unfolding, especially for Sally.
Yeah, a major one. Her trailer burns down. The sources mention smoke inhalation. She was lucky to get out alive.
Well, she has nowhere to go.
Exactly, which forces the situation. She moves in with Maeve, making the Nenance, as the source puts it, more crowded, just adding another layer of pressure onto Maeve's already strained life.
And Sally herself is changing.
Significantly. The sources detail her forgetfulness. She forgot how to play cards, starts losing whole hours of time. It's a really heartbreaking decline.
And she recognizes it herself.
Eventually, yes, she acknowledges she needs to be in a home, recognizes that a brain going down this kind of slide doesn't crawl back up again. Such a sad realization.
Finding a place must be tough for Maeve.
Incredibly difficult. Hampered by her own money troubles and Sally's increasingly erratic behavior. And in another one of those sharp intersections the sources reveal, they end up looking at a Becker development property.
Oh, wow.
And Maeve also finds out during this whole process that Anna had offered financial help earlier, which Maeve had turned down. Another moment highlighting their tricky dynamic.
Then there's that really scary scene you mentioned earlier, Anna and Cami confronting Cami's father, Tim, about the trust fund.
Yeah, the sources don't sugarcoat his reaction. It's abusive. He clears out Cami's room, locks them out.
And the driving.
His reckless, dangerous driving towards Anna's car as they're trying to escape. It's a stark reminder of the actual physical danger some characters are facing.
A harsh reality check from Cami's world.
Oh.
And then, the big one, the meeting with Robert.
The most anticipated, maybe, and ultimately perhaps the most disappointing return. Anna and Cami go with Maeve to Cadillac to see him.
And the reality is not the dream Maeve held on to.
Not even close, miles away. The sources describe his situation bluntly. Rusted trailer, no legitimate employment, and he's still involved in shady dealings with this guy, Charlie, some land contract, echoing the same kind of enterprising ideas that got him into trouble 20 years ago.
So the conversation must have been intense.
Incredibly difficult. All that unresolved pain from 2 decades comes pouring out. Maeve finally confronts him directly. Why did you leave?
And his reason.
Shame, basically. He reveals he got arrested for smuggling cigarettes with Bill, went to jail, and was just too ashamed to ever come back.
And Anna, did she get to say her piece?
She does, finally. That raw line, do you know what it was like for me to try to pretend you were just on a business trip? To hear her crying at night? To see her look down the street for you night after night? It's just this powerful indictment of his abandonment.
How does Robert react to that?
His response is, well, it's surprising.
Yeah.
And maybe adds another lack of hurt. He reveals he has twin sons. Yeah. Boys, 15 years old. He built a whole other life. Had other children while Maeve and Anna waited.
Oh, Maeve. That must have been crushing.
The meeting ends with them leaving him there, hearing Charlie yelling, Robert saying, let him go. And for Maeve, the realization is just stark, painful. Drawn right from this interaction, Robert hadn't changed. Whatever made you do that, it's all still true. The dream she clung to just dissolves right there.
So all these crises, these confrontations, pulled from the sources, they bring the characters to major turning points as the story wraps up.
Exactly. Significant turning points.
One huge outcome is the Nenance store closing for good. That detail of Maeve giving Cami the closed forever sign, that feels incredibly symbolic, doesn't it?
It really does. And packing up items for the food pantry, it shows the store's legacy shifting from commerce to community support in a way.
And Maeve has to find a new reality. She starts working at Agatha's boutique.
Right. And the sources include Agatha's perspective, her dedication. The sewing is everything. It offers this contrast, a different kind of focus, maybe fulfillment than Maeve had running the Nenance while waiting for a ghost.
But there's a moment of real reconciliation between Anna and Maeve.
A really powerful one. While cleaning Maeve's room, Anna finds the ring Maeve always wore, the one Robert gave her.
And Maeve opens up.
Finally. In this moment of vulnerability, she admits she was blind to keep hoping Robert would change. Just totally honest.
Maybe Anna.
Anna, maybe surprisingly, admits that deep down she was also hoping he'd come back for real. It's this mutual acknowledgement of the hope they both carried for so long. Shared painful hope.
And that physical detail the sources mention they embrace. And Anna takes off her shoes so I can be smaller again. What do you make of that?
It feels like she's shedding that adult lawyer persona for a moment, connecting with her mother just as a daughter again. Finding the original relationship beneath everything else, it's profound.
So despite everything of the disappointments, the complications Anna finds being back in Haven.
Okay.
Yeah, not so bad. as the source puts it. And there's that mention of her meeting Beck at the closed Nenan's store, suggesting maybe their connection has a future, standing there amidst the remnants of the past.
And the epilogue you shared. It brings Robert back one last time.
One final time. He shows up at Agatha's boutique in winter while Anna's visiting Maeve.
And Maeve gets the last word.
She does. And her words are incredibly powerful, so clear. I am mad at myself for gathering dust waiting for you and then being all too ready to believe anything you said.
Wow.
It's her final reclaiming of her own reality, letting go of that imagined life she clung to for so long. And Anna's just there, this quiet presence described in the material, providing a kind of silent strength for her mom.
This whole journey over the summer laid out so vividly in the sources you shared. It really feels like it's about characters facing down harsh realities, confronting painful pasts.
Navigating really complicated relationships, and ultimately making difficult choices about what life looks like now, not just what they imagined it would be.
It brings those central themes the author touches on both explicitly and implicitly right into sharp focus. That contrast between the life you've imagined,
Right.
whether it's the perfect career, the dream wedding, the big romantic reunion, a stable home, and the unexpected, often really messy reality that life actually throws at you.
It definitely underscores the enduring impact of family, sometimes heavy, for better or worse, and how it just keeps shaping us, influencing our paths.
And it explores that fundamental search we all have for home, for belonging, and what success really means when those external markers like the job or the big house start to crumble or feel hollow.
These stories, drawn directly from the material you provided, they really show us that life rarely follows the neat script we write for it, do they?
Not at all. The most compelling parts often happen when that script gets completely torn up and rewritten by circumstance or by unexpected, maybe difficult truths.
Which leaves us with a really powerful thought to sit with as we finish this deep dive, drawn right from the heart of these sources. What happens when the life you imagined isn't the life you actually get?
And maybe even more challenging, what happens when you do get the life you imagined, but discover it's not actually what you truly wanted anymore?